Have you ever noticed that some of the strongest rules in life are the ones no one ever actually says out loud? No one wrote them. No one gives you a handbook. No one explains them to you. And yet, somehow, you follow them almost automatically. Take the simple phrase, let's catch up soon. It sounds warm, friendly, and genuine. But most of the time, it quietly translates to we are probably never going to meet. And the strange part is, both sides understand this. But no one questions it. No one calls it out. We just smile, agree, and move on. Somewhere along the way, being polite became more important than being honest, and we all accepted it. Then there is texting. There is an unspoken rule that controls how we respond. So if we reply too quickly to a message, you seem overly eager. If you reply too slow, you seem uninterested. So instead of responding naturally, we start calculating. You have probably experienced this. You read a message, you know exactly what you want to say, and yet you wait before replying. Not because you're busy, but because you don't want to appear too available. When you think about it, it's a little absurd. We delay genuine connection just to maintain a certain image. Another rule we rarely question is the idea that being busy means being important. People constantly say, I've been so busy, as if it proves something, even when a large part of that time may have been spent doing very little, like scrolling on a phone. Being free, on the other hand, almost feels uncomfortable. It can feel like you're falling behind if you are not constantly occupied. But when did life become a competition to see who is the most overwhelmed? And then there's perhaps the most universal rule of all. Act like you know what you're doing. Whether it is in college, at work, or in life in general, people often appear confident and certain. It looks like everyone has a plan, but in reality, most people are simply figuring things out as they go. They are experimenting, making mistakes, and learning along the way. The only difference is that very few people say this out loud. Admitting uncertainty feels uncomfortable, so we replace it with confidence, even if that confidence is only on the surface. If you look at all of this from a psychological perspective, it becomes even more interesting. This is called social conditioning. Over time, we learn behaviors that help us fit in and avoid judgment. Without realizing it, we start repeating those behaviors automatically. The human brain values belonging. It pushes us to act in ways that are socially acceptable, even if those actions do not fully reflect what we genuinely feel. And that leads to an important question. How much of what you do is truly your choice, and how much of it is simply a learned behavior? What would happen if you start questioning some of these rules? What if you replied to messages when you actually wanted to? instead of when it felt socially correct? What if "let's catch up soon" turned into a real plan, or was simply not said at all? What if being free was not something to hide, but something to enjoy? And what if it was completely acceptable to admit that you do not have everything figured out? Because the truth is, no one really does. Everyone is navigating life one step at a time, trying to make sense of it as they go ahead. Perhaps life would feel simpler and more genuine if we were a little less performative and a little more honest, both with others and with ourselves. So here is something to think about. What is that one unspoken rule that you have been following without even realizing it? And now that you are aware of it, would you still choose to follow it? Share your thoughts in the comments. It would be interesting to see how many of these invisible rules we are all quietly living by, and how many of them we might be ready to let go.